What's up everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. Today I have a little short conversation of some kind on how we can make sense of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. You see, one of the biggest things right now that we've seen is the conversation and the reactions have been everywhere from somewhat disappointing to funny. You see, I saw a lot of folk here on the internet, on Twitter, pretty much expressing their concerns about why Rocksteady would actually move away from this formula. And their concerns are not necessarily out of hand. I think it's very valuable that we look at these things and talk about them. Slickmoth, content creator in the Arkham space and had done it for so many years, being a huge fan of this franchise. In fact, one of the few reasons I started my channel was because he was doing a channel on this niche, as well as Podcast Now's Alex. And if you think about some of the things that he mentioned and said, we could have gotten 4 Arkham Asylum / Arkham City sized games in the amount of time it has taken to make this one Suicide Squad game. The game industry these days focuses so heavily on scope and magnitude, how big the open world is, and how long the game is, but for what? And this is something that I think is actually stating a very, very strong point. In fact, also content creator in this space, iRogan, went ahead to meme the heck out of this game by creating some kind of an alternate universe type warped meme. It was so funny when he actually did it, because I thought to myself, my gosh, this is crazy. This is ingenious. Breaking, Evan Filaka's worst nightmare has come true. Following the Suicide Squad leak, a new image has leaked showing that Marvel's Spider-Man 2 will lean heavily into games as a service and RPG mechanics. He goes ahead to put a battle pass picture, Spidey shop, suit select, upgrade, and all that stuff. Gamers necessarily do not want what it is that Rocksteady and Warner Media or Warner Brothers Discovery is selling. But nonetheless, how do we make sense of the fact that Rocksteady has actually provided a legacy in their Arkham games, and probably are worth giving the benefit of the doubt at this point? The reality is, I don't think the benefit of the doubt is something that we need to be talking about in this particular scenario. Why is that? There are specific markers that should tell you that you're going to be approaching this game very differently, and even seeing the nature of how the creators of the Arkham universe in the video game world anyways, seeing as they are somewhat going to be distanced from this project when they finally leave the studio, because apparently some people are still saying that the Rocksteady is still listed on Stephen Hill's bio, so maybe he hasn't left. But David Haddad, the executive, and all the news articles that pretty much published the statement, said that he and Jamie Walker were going to be leaving at the end of this year. So maybe they're like, hey man, you guys have got PTOs and you guys have got sick days, you can use them all before you finally go, and that's probably what it is they're doing. So maybe they're still technically employed, but probably at this point have scaled down their their involvement with the project. And so you're looking at that one area. So at this stage, I'm not in a position to say, I'm going to give Rocksteady the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to say I'm going to approach this whole thing very cautiously, in a sense. Another thing too is managing expectations. I think one thing about the gaming community is we tend to throw ourselves into a corner with a lot of hype. I remember seeing somebody's comments, actually 2 comments, but they were on Twitter, can't necessarily remember, of people saying when they saw that picture with the battle pass, it brought them to tears. I was like, what are you crying about? It's a video game that has very minimal consequence to the progression of real life. There are much more important things out there, much more noble things out there to engage in. And the people who are developing the video games, kudos to them. They are doing what their employer wanted them to do, and they're doing it to the best of their abilities. They're gonna get paid, and that's a good thing for them at the end of the day. Sure, we don't get one more entertainment piece according to our liking. So what? There are gonna be others that are out there that will fulfill that niche. Welcome to the market that can actually allow for the most part anyways, a competitive way of delivering video games, and that's a good thing. We're gonna see more Elden Rings. They're gonna come in here, they're gonna smack a lot of these games, and so this is something that you can look forward to. Another thing too is we have to pretty much apply the lessons learned from about 2+ years ago from Cyberpunk 2077. You see, I understand and I know that Rocksteady is many of our favorite developers. That's the truth. There's no doubt about it. But keep in mind that CD Projekt Red was also the favorite developer of many gamer. And then Cyberpunk 2077 basically went ahead and dropped something that a lot of gamers were probably not necessarily expecting. Yes, I understand it's a different scenario. Yes, I understand that that game probably by corporate mandate was forced to be released, or whatever it is you want to say, but you must apply that same standard with Rocksteady's Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, because this studio is very talented. You can already tell that the work that they've done in their Arkham games are quite solid. I mean, look at the beginning encounter here between Batman and Catwoman versus the Riddler. I mean, this sequence itself is something that superhero gamers like. We like to see the fantasy of comic books coming to life with these encounters with our favorite heroes and the way they do things. It's just so cool that Rocksteady pulled this off in the 2010 through 2015 time frame, and we're able to deliver some really solid games with, solid visuals and solid effects and all those things that you dream to see today. But at the end of the day, the corporate mandates have pretty much come to take over. Shockingly, the year that Arkham Knight came out was the year that Warner Brothers, in their interactive entertainment side, handed over the creative, or I would say the daily operations and the headship of their video game studios to one person who pretty much decided, saying that they want to go the games as a service route. So it's not the developer's fault, and I think this is one thing a lot of people must pretty much put into perspective. You see, here's another thing too. I have to go back and I have to call out a lot of the people that made fun of Gotham Knights. I have to say that you really backed yourself into a corner. You see, when Gotham Knights came out, I came here and I told you, I said, this game is a game that the publisher wanted the developers to make. And most of you sat here and called me shill. You told me that Warner Brothers was paying me and that I was destroying the gaming industry for playing a game that I wanted to play. And some of you, I remember there was a conversation I had on Twitter. Somebody said to me, I'm actually happy that Gotham Knights got pooped on. And I was shocked. I was like, why would you be happy about that? I said, well, I don't want the game to ever have a sequel of any kind, but Suicide Squad is going to be a banger though. This is a quote from somebody who actually was in this space saying that. And I said to myself, I said, these people don't understand what it is they're wishing for, and they will probably not be able to maintain this same energy when they eventually get to see the reality of what Suicide Squad is. And it's quite surprising that, almost like clockwork, a lot of people seem jarred. People saying that they were brought to tears from seeing a Battle Pass icon. I'm kind of shocked. Like, yo, calm down. It's a video game. As much as you and I like Rocksteady, there are ways that we can navigate through all of this. And the truth, again, about the conversation of the benefit of the doubt is we don't even know what to give the benefit to, because we haven't seen gameplay when it comes to Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. So I think the miracle right now with this very, what do they call it? This very live service hungry leadership at Warner and Discovery is the fact that Gotham Knights came out and was not a live service game. How in the heck they did that and talked about it and got away with not dropping the game as a live service game in Warner Brothers Montreal is probably the miracle of miracles. And again, I've also seen a lot of people talking about, they're not, in a position to want to play Gotham Knights because they thought it was mediocre and all that stuff. But when we dig in, a lot of these folk have not played the game. They've actually gone the review route to listen to what so-called critically acclaimed reviewers are talking about. Well, even critically acclaimed reviewers will tell you that their own reviews are opinions. I remember, Skillup's video when he actually reviewed Callisto Protocol. He prefaced it by saying, reviews are opinions. And he put a clip of Gotham Knights because even he knew and he knows that it's just his preference, because he didn't like Sonic Frontiers, but the fans of Sonic Frontiers liked it. So if you're in the DC space, you owe it to yourself to at least try Gotham Knights and see at least this thread of the live service, what it is, DNA that they're trying to pretty much, splice into these superhero games. Because honestly, folks, this is what we're going to be seeing. I don't think that they're going to take their foot off the gear. I've seen some folk talk about the possibility of them wanting to do maybe the single player games and so on and so forth. But here's the problem. The single player games, if you haven't necessarily established or continued to build a reputation surrounding them, at this moment in time, it's very difficult to see how everything is going to turn around. Because even though right now the sales, signal to Warner and Discovery that, hey man, games like these are probably not going to be the very best thing, because you can't tell me that Suicide Squad is going to go ahead and sell a whole bunch of copies. I mean, if the fans are already disappointed, I wonder what the outsiders are going to think about the game. I mean, you never know. It might sell well, it might do well, but you could tell that that picture really dampened a lot of people's excitement for the game. And so when you think about that, before they go ahead and rectify this issue, you're going to be in a position where you're looking at, say, another few years, because Wonder Woman is coming out. Yes, she has a good and a huge fan base, but here's the thing. Wonder Woman, in my opinion, is probably not going to be able to carry a lot of, fan interest like Spider-Man or Batman, or even say the X-Men characters like Wolverine. To me, I think has a lot more in terms of popularity than Wonder Woman herself in terms of a video game, because Wolverine already has its classic video game fans, and then you also have Marvel fans. Then you also have Warner Brothers Montreal's next video game, which you would hope to yourself that is probably something close to a single player game and not a live service game. So this is also, in my opinion, some of the different threads that we have to possibly hold on to and say, okay, maybe these are going to finally follow the classic model of the single player games. Because if not, if Warner Media and or Discovery or whoever it is does not shift gears, Spider-Man is always going to take the cake. There's no doubt about that. Spider-Man is going to come in, it's going to win, and it's going to pretty much maintain the throne as the top selling, or in my opinion, more favored and wanted superhero game, because it's following the classic, Arkham genre or action adventure genre in the industry. So how you approach a game like Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is that you just pretty much look at the project and look at the creators of the project and where they stand in terms of their association with the project for now. When you see more gameplay, then you can probably make a better decision as to how it is you want to engage with the video game. It's not going to be that difficult. I mean, you will know exactly where it is and what it is you want to do, but it's interesting to see and highlight how everyone is approaching this game now, and how, in my opinion, I think Gotham Knights and its developers, they look to me a lot better in a sense in terms of developing a video game that they wanted to develop, and probably not have to deal with the pressure or maybe having to backtrack and not fall into this so-called games as a service model that they're trying to introduce into the superhero genre that is more than likely not going to be as favored as a game like Spider-Man. Thanks for watching the video. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section, and yeah, let's talk. Peace out.